What's up, everybody, and welcome to Taking the Pin once again. Today, we're going to be doing our way too early predictions for Money in the Bank when we don't even know who's in qualifying matches. We don't even know how many ladders they're going to be in the actual match. We're just going to go absolutely balls to the wall and try and predict who's going to win Money in the Bank about, well, just under a month away from the actual PLE. So, with that being said, we're going to go through both men's and women's matches. So, we have 3 options each that we've picked. Again, as always with these prediction videos, there may be some crossover. We haven't discussed this with one another because we don't like talking to each other unless we have a camera in front of our face. So, with that being said, Bragster, give me your first pick for the men's Money in the Bank.
First one, I'm going to give you the obvious one. I'm going to get the obvious one out the way for who I would like to see win Money in the Bank, and that's LA Knight. Because LA Knight bloody well deserves it, doesn't he? I mean, he's been on top of the world for a few years now. People have gone, oh, can he handle all the pressure? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, he can. And he has done over and over and over and over again. If there's ever a time to give it to LA Knight, now's the sort of time. I mean, you can tell a really good story with him, and he'd be so entertaining with the briefcase.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I can see that with that vision of whoever's champion, whether it's Cena or someone else. I can just imagine him just sort of like, I'm still here. Don't forget about little old me, which is kind of the charm of Money in the Bank, really, isn't it? In that's always there, hanging over everyone's heads. So with that in mind, not necessarily my first pick, but one of the 3 I've picked, which with that in mind of holding that briefcase over everyone's head, I'm going Logan Paul. Now, I didn't think this was going to be a possibility because I thought he might face Jay at Money in the Bank. But he's facing him at Saturday night's main event, and he's probably going to be the main event. And I think that the likelihood is that Jay's obviously going to win. And I think as a continuation of that story, Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank, and also that the cockiness of Logan Paul and him reminding the crowd every single time he steps out with that briefcase, and he's like, this is a certified thing here. This isn't going away. There's nothing you can do about this, which are almost as good as the babyfaces cash-ins, because it's the dread of, oh no, this is happening when we can't escape this. This is inevitable. So yeah, Logan Paul is my first pick.
No, it's a good pick. I mean, the only thing going against it is the fact that it's so soon after him having a title match. But then WWE did that a few months ago with the Royal Rumble, didn't they? So that win sort of kept us on our toes to now where that's a natural possibility that you can lose the pay-per-view before and then get the big win next. It's a genuine possibility and a scary one at that.
100%. Now I'm going to rip up proceedings, and instead of throwing it back to you, I'm going to give you my second pick and totally change it up and give you a heart attack. So, this is my left field pick of the men's bunch. Based on his hype recently, and based on what's been going on outside of the WWE spectrum, I'm going to say Karrion Kross.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
The guy is as over as you can possibly be without doing anything or stepping into the ring. Although saying he had one match against AJ before Mania. The guy is over as hell. And if there was ever a time for a Money in the Bank winner to be totally left field and catches off guard, Karrion Kross is the guy.
Oh, I want that so badly. I didn't even think of that.
And I am amazed you didn't think of that, by the way.
I'm amazed because I've been like his biggest fan since the start of the year.
Yeah.
I was on this hype train months before other people were.
Yeah.
I literally said, I think in our first video, in our Netflix review, I was like, that Karrion Kross promo was so good.
Yeah.
We need to watch out for this. This could be the year of Karrion Kross.
Yeah. Yeah. That Sam Roberts episode as well after Mania and him losing his rag, I just thought was great. And I just thought it really sold the fact that, it sells how much he wants it, and it sells how much he should be backed and they should push him.
Yeah.
and there's no reason for them not to at this point when he's as popular as he's gonna be at this point without having actually done anything in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, he's barely feuded with anyone. There's been teasers left, right, and center with Sammy and this, that, and the other. Why not? Why not just give it to Karrion Kross right here, right now? Anyway.
And it'd be great. Just the dread again, like over Jay's title reign would be amazing.
But it's not even just that, though. I think his popularity has got to a point as such now where whoever Jay loses it to, it could work as a heel or a babyface thing. It doesn't matter which way he does it because he's gonna be popular no matter what. No. Anyway, enough of Karrion Kross. Give me your second pick, Bragster.
My second pick is left field, but not quite as left field as my next one. So I'm giving it now, which is Drew McIntyre.
Again?
Yes, again.
Right.
Yes, again. I think Drew McIntyre, which would be back-to-back, if I've got my memory correct. And I just feel, for me, I think we haven't had a back-to-back winner in a very, very long time. Possibly since Punk, if I remember correctly. Which, if so, is also great for their little feud. But I think, for me, Drew, as we've mentioned before, needs direction. He needs something. And I think the Money in the Bank would be a perfect way to do it. You could also have this thing where he almost learns from last year. Last year, he tried to cash it in on the same night. Obviously, got screwed over because he wasn't paying attention to the fact that, Punk was around. But he could learn from that in the sense he doesn't cash in on night one, turns up to the Raw after and goes, nah, I'm smarter now. I've learned not to do that and to actually plan when I do it properly. Yeah. And then you have this bit where, as you said, he sort of lingers over. I kind of like her. But then there's this little thing where I'm always like with the John Cena thing is, if it's a babyface winning it, naturally they should want to cash in on Cena ASAP to get the title off of it. So Drew is this perfect person for me where he's a heel, but you could do this most beautiful thing where while he's holding the briefcase, he slowly becomes good again. And then he cashes it in on Cena. You could have this lovely, lovely thing where he waits and waits and waits, and then suddenly something trickles where he becomes good again. And he has this sort of slow babyface turn. And then he realizes it's come to the end of Cena's reign. If I don't cash in, I could lose the thing I love. Mm-hmm. And he does it. And he then saves WWE for everyone, turning him officially babyface again. Mm-hmm. Would be one of the most spectacular ways to turn somebody in such a quick fashion. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you give him the big babyface win in front of a crowd. The crowd will go berserk because Cena loses, and then Drew wins the title. I just think, I think there's multiple options they can go with Drew that actually are exciting.
Yeah, 100%. And again, whatever Drew McIntyre touches turns to gold. Mm-hmm. So if you went back to back for Money in the Bank, I wouldn't be against it, in all honesty. He is one of the MVPs of WWE. I would say, if not for Cody, in the past couple of years, Drew's probably second. In all honesty, in terms of how good he's been, and certainly wouldn't complain with him being Mr. Money in the Bank for the second year in a row and actually getting it this time. I think that would be the important thing. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to go with my final pick on the men's side, and I am going to go with the underdog from the underground, and that is Sami Zayn. Because, again, I think it's fairly self-explanatory. They're going to be looking for ways to get Sami into the picture, and I think there is a big possibility that it's probably going to be the Royal Rumble that he ends up winning. But if they wanted to do something a little bit earlier that they don't necessarily have to do or cash in, pardon the pun, straight away, they could obviously have him win Money in the Bank. And if you really, really wanted to tell a story, he could fail the cash in and then go on another journey onto the Rumble and maybe go and win the Rumble then. It adds a lot of things. But also, I think we haven't really had like that scrappy underdog win for a while.
Hmm.
And one of my favorite, I mean, my favorite Money in the Bank win ever is Dean Ambrose in 2016
Hmm.
because I absolutely loved Ambrose when I first started watching wrestling. Still do now when I see clips of him all over TikTok because, of course, my algorithm is clogged with WWE, and Dean Ambrose is one of those clogging cogs, I guess you want to call them. But him winning it and then cashing it in on the
Mm.
same night, and of course that was the night when the Shield held the title. And again, it's probably one of my favorite moments in the past sort of 10 years. I think there is a lot of synergy in terms of Zayn was in that match and he got very close to getting there,
Mm.
except for KO obviously thwarted him as he always does. And I just think it would be a nice little, it would be a cool thing to see Zayn win one of these
Mm.
big matches because he doesn't win Elimination Chambers, he doesn't really win the Rumble. Money in the Bank would be a nice thing to have on, and it would be something other than he's main evented WrestleMania with Kevin Owens. He's now got this that he's done on his own.
Yeah.
I just think it would work really well.
No, it would. And with Sammy especially, you didn't even harken on the fact that they can tell this really clever story where Jay's champion.
Mm-hmm.
And would Sammy do it?
Mm-hmm.
Would Sammy, for the fact that he's never won the big one, cash in on possibly his best friend as of right now, because he fell out with Kevin Owens,
Yeah.
his best friend
Yeah.
to win it? And like it reminds me of the Daniel Bryan turning heel because he felt like he had to do that to win the title.
Yeah.
You could tell that story if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe that him winning the big one as a babyface is the better story. But if you
Absolutely.
wanted to tell the other one, it's right there for the taking, and you can tease it enough where you're going to make fans be nervous.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah, and with all of these picks that we've made so far, I think there's so much
Yeah.
story element to it, which goes into it, which is always great for Money in the Bank story or
Speaking of
cash in.
stories,
Well, I was going to go, Bragster, take it away with your final pick. So, speaking of stories.
boy, do I have one for you.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Let me take a sip of my drink
Well,
before
this
we
is
get
more
going.
of a heart overhead.
And it's not Karrion Kross.
And it's not carrying cross. My thinking is, again, similar to the Drew one, actually, someone where you can tell the story of them slowly turning babyface over a long period of time if you wanted to. Chad Gable.
Oh, good Lord. Right, okay.
Yeah, this is left field. I told you this one was left field.
Right.
Because I'm thinking of Cena's last matches. And I'm thinking on the possibility that he holds the title all the way. How cool would it be if he faces little baby version of Kurt Angle?
Little baby version of
Little
Kurt
baby
Angle.
version of Kurt Angle. I think it'd be such a nice story. It's like a full circle moment without it being Kurt Angle. And and the fact that you can have this thing going on, like obviously the El Grande Americano thing might have finished by then. It might have not. We don't really know. Even if it hasn't, you can almost tell the story that Chad's won this, but like Chad's on like a hiatus or something. Like there's so many different things. Now, don't get me wrong. This is very left field, and I know for a fact it ain't going to happen. However, I think you can tell a really, really good story. And we spoke off camera that this year, in both the men's and the women's, I really feel like a left field winner actually is not out the realms of possibility because there are so many different stories going on. You've got Jay as this unlikely champion who, let's be honest, you can have an upper mid-carder beat and become champion or whatever. But you've also have Cena on the other side who, if any big main eventer is going to lay down for the 1, 2, 3 to someone out of the blue and someone's much lower down the card to elevate them in his final year, it's John Cena. So I feel like you've got this opportunity where you could do this, and it would be difficult, and the crowd will go mad for it in a really good way, and it would be really hard to keep him healing and change. But I think you can tell a really good story of Chad. It's unlikely, but I do feel like you can do it.
Okay. So if you were to turn in babyface, we talked
Yeah.
about how we could turn in babyface a while ago,
Yes.
and that was putting in with Kurt Angle as his manager.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing the synergy or the mirror reflection of Cena's final match. It's not going to be his final match, but his final match being Chad Gable with Kurt in his corner, and that's being how it ends. But
How
it
beautiful would that be?
it would be
And
great.
Chad wins the title. Chad finally wins the big one.
Yeah,
And it's this full circle moment for Cena.
yeah. It would be great. It would be. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but
No.
it would be great. That would be great. That's total fantasy booking 101, that one. It's great, but is it going to happen? So, with that being said, let's leave it for the men and move on to the ladies. So, the women's Money in the Bank. There's a few contenders in there, I think, this year that you could pick from. I'm going to go with my pick first.
Mm-hmm.
And it is someone who has recently lost a title, sadly, to many people. And I'm going to go with Chelsea Green.
I didn't even think of Chelsea.
How did you not think of Chelsea Green?
know.
That's disgusting. Anyway,
So good.
our savior of that US women's title belt, I think, has done such a great job that I just don't see how you can't at least put her in the match.
Oh, she has to be in there.
Even if she lasts like 10 seconds and gets put through a ladder in like the first 20 seconds, like her build to that match would on its own be fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, similar to what I saw with like Logan Paul before, I can see Chelsea milking that Money in the Bank briefcase to its infinite possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I think she'd be fantastic. And we've seen what she can do with a title reign of some kind, that when she eventually gets the big one, it's just going to be absolute gold at that point. So yeah, Chelsea Green is my first pick.
It's a great choice. Reminds me a lot of when Carmella won it, in the sense of someone who you probably wouldn't have put as a main champion.
Yeah.
But the moment they're in that position, you just don't see why you
They
thought
weren't
otherwise.
in the first place.
Yeah, like, and I think Chelsea's one of those. She's given so much to the company, and just shone every single time. I think it's a great pick.
Yep, 100%. I mean, I'm going to say 100%. I'm going to agree that my pick's 100%. So moving on from that, give us your first pick for the women's side there, Braxton.
Okay, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with someone who has had a meteoric year, and I think it would help elevate them even further. And that is Roxanne Perez.
She was on my list. Not on the 3 that I went with eventually, but she was in like the top 5, 6 that I thought. A, she'll probably be in the match because she's been in the other matches.
Yeah.
And 2, they love her. They are pushing her hard right now, so why not?
Exactly, and I feel like when you're pushing someone so hard, to have the amazing performance at the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, you then have the debut on the main roster and all of that. I just think everything is going in the direction of Roxanne, and everything is coming up Roxanne right now. And this is very much, I feel like, in terms of when you think of Money in the Bank winners, you have some that hold it for a short amount of time, someone that holds it a long amount of time. I think Roxanne is someone that can hold it for a while. Someone who, especially with that main event Raw situation where there's so many great women. You've got Julia, Rhea Ripley, Io. You've got the impending return of like Asuka and stuff. All of this culminating. Liv Morgan when she comes back, etc., etc. I think there are so many people to stop her from cashing in.
Yeah.
That it could literally be one of those, similar to almost Damian Priest when he sort of held it. Of there was never a situation coming up where she can cash in. So therefore she's almost got to wait for her moment, whenever that may be. And I think Roxanne is the perfect person to sort of hold that. And there's always those Money in the Bank holders that you forget.
Yeah.
You almost forget they hold the briefcase and then they suddenly cash in. You're like, oh my God. Roxanne, I think, is that kind of person. And with the stock that's in her right now, why not?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, we've said it from the start of the year, really, that she has been pushed heavily, and rightly so. She's done a great job in every match she's been in, and they're in the early days of her sort of facing off with Rhea and Io in this tag
Mm-hmm.
team with Julia. I know obviously they had the main event last night, and watching it, Roxanne did great.
Mm-hmm.
So again, could see it happening. To be honest, it wouldn't be a total surprise to me. Now, total surprises are a thing I do enjoy. Um, I'm going. This one's a little bit left field because obviously they have to get there a little bit, but it would be an interesting way to do it. I went with Stephanie Vaquer
Ooh.
mainly because they have had a in a couple of matches already on the main
Mm-hmm.
roster, and obviously she's coming up at some point. So they've never really had someone from lower down, I'll say,
Mm-hmm.
in sort of NXT win it straight away. But I think that would be an interesting story to tell of
Mm-hmm.
she is still the champion at the minute, and obviously should have the money in the bank at the same time. Could she become a double
Mm-hmm.
champ with the NXT belt and the women's belt at the same time? Could obviously the most likely route would be she'd lose the belt and then just be Miss Money in the Bank and come up to the main roster or whatever she'd want to do. But I also think that they're very high on Stephanie, and rightly
Mm-hmm.
so. She's great. I don't see why she couldn't be in that match at
Yeah.
least. But I do think that it would be a different route to go with Money in the Bank that they haven't necessarily done before, and that's kind of why I went with Stephanie for that one.
No, I see it because I think Stephanie's one of my picks for the Royal Rumble actually this early on. Is and a big reason for that is I actually think they could do the thing with her of she hasn't appeared on the main roster properly yet, and she just goes and wins the whole thing. I feel like Stephanie could be that with the Money in the Bank, as you said, like quite easily could lose the title, straight away goes and wins the Money in the Bank briefcase, or as you said, wins it as champion. There are, I feel like with the stock in Stephanie, I feel there's sometimes when people go up, you worry about, oh, are they ready?
Mm-hmm.
I think they've tested that out. The match with EO was one of the best things I've ever seen. Like this year, like especially in the women's division, like it was just so faultless, honestly, that she's proven already that she can do that, and to casual fans, she's proven she can do that.
Yeah.
So, as you said, she's ready made. So why not?
Yeah, 100%. So, Bragster, on to your next pick. Are you on 2 or 3? You're on 2.
This is my second.
This is your second.
Yes,
I've lost
and
count already.
And I'm having to choose between multiple here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with
Yeah.
Naomi.
God damn it. Right. Okay.
Ah, there we go.
There's the inevitable crossover.
I do have the worst part is I have more on my list just in case you picked one of mine. I've ended up doing the opposite.
Sick man. Right.
For me, Naomi is an amazing choice for the fact that ever since this heel turn, she has been magnificent.
Yep.
And there's an argument to be made for her, and I hope you don't have the other person on the. Do you have the other person on your list?
I have no idea who's on your list. So how would I know?
Do you have the person that she's feuding with on your list?
Oh no. I only have 3 names, and Naomi was the third one.
No, that's all good. So that's why for me, you can have either Naomi or Jade win it. I think would be a really nice story because as you sort of mentioned, they quite like having feuds in the Money in the Bank ready made.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it would be a very good feud to have it, and you could have them both on top of the ladder as the two with the camera shot on them. And either way it falls, the crowd is going to go berserk.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the reason why I said Naomi first is I feel like Naomi needs it more.
Yeah.
Then Jade, I feel like Jade would naturally get there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with Naomi, especially with a couple of her losses recently, having this win out of nowhere would sort of propel her back to the main event scene. And we've seen it multiple times before. People going into the Money in the Bank, match with a few losses are actually the ones that are probably more likely to win it.
Yeah.
Because the win propels them so much that it doesn't matter about the losses that came before because people are only focusing on what they've just won. So yeah, I feel like Naomi probably need it more, and it would be such a good way of thanking her for all the hard work that she's doing.
Yeah.
And someone like Naomi with this character as Money in the Bank holder is just so tantalizing. Because I feel like out of a lot of the picks that we've sort of said, she'd probably be the one that would tease it the most. Yeah. She'd probably be the sort of person that would almost sit on commentary waiting.
Yeah.
Like, and do all these things of just like, I'm here. And what are you going to do about it? You know, and this cockiness and arrogance, not necessarily this dread of cashing in. It's almost like I am cashing in.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to deal with it. And it's like an inevitability about it. And I just love that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can see like SummerSlam, Tiffany's defending against Bianca. Bianca wins, but then Naomi's like, ha, doosh, and then just smashes the briefcase off her or something and cashes in and takes the title away, and then you've got Naomi, Bianca. I 100% agree Naomi would be great. I also think there is something to Naomi potentially winning a world title in the near future. She did have an interview recently where she was talking about she didn't know necessarily how long she had left because obviously she's considering at some point having children and time runs very quickly in WWE and she doesn't know how much time she's got left, so she obviously wants to get one of the big ones sooner rather than later. So that may well be a factor in it as well. But yeah, I think in terms of her character work and what she's done since she's turned, I think she's been fantastic, and her with that briefcase would be great. So yeah, that's exactly why I picked her as well, and in terms of what you said there. So yeah, I don't have any more picks now, Bragster. Thank you for ruining that.
Sorry.
No, are you though?
No, not really.
So with that being said, do you have another pick?
I have one more.
Right.
This is again massively with my heart. But ever since she returned, she's done absolutely bugger all. And I'm sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. Which is why Alexa Bliss should win the Money in the Bank briefcase. I just think that Alexa's done nothing, but Alexa is so good. And listen to those crowd reactions. You spoke about Karrion Kross earlier. Alexa Bliss is getting monumental Stone Cold Steve Austin level pops every time she comes out. It's absolute insanity. Like I love Alexa Bliss, always have done, but I never thought in a million years she'd get the pops that she's getting right now with so little stories or anything to actually get behind.
Yeah.
Let alone if we give her something to do. And I just think it would be a really good way of putting her straight back into that title picture.
Yeah.
And I know she's teased something with Charlotte, maybe a tag team sort of thing there.
Yeah.
But again, that could be something that leads down the line if she's missed Money in the Bank, sort of waiting for her opportunity. You know, we know Alexa's happy to wait. We know she always waits for her, you know, the opportunities that come her way and all that. And I just think it would work. I'm pretty sure she's won it before, right? Yeah, I'm not going completely insane.
Yeah, she has,
Yeah. I thought so, and I didn't want to say it without completely looking it up. But she proved before that she could do it. It would also be, if I remember correctly, the first two-time Women's Money in the Bank winner.
Yep.
Which I feel like, given how many years it's been going on now with the women's, it's probably long overdue, actually, having someone to have won it twice.
Yeah.
And what a person to do it in, Alexa Bliss, you know, someone who's been away for so long, come back, done nothing but get monumental reactions, brilliant in the ring.
Yeah.
I just think I think it'd be perfect. I think if you want to give it to someone that, you know, doesn't necessarily have to cash in now, and you can just bubble it along and create all these different stories with all the different people on the roster. Alexa can tell stories for days.
Yeah.
So you can just have a whole...
I'm not sure how to help you with that.
Alexa, shut up. Right. On that note, that telling me to shut up. So, but yeah, I think Alexa is a brilliant, brilliant choice for the women's Money in the Bank.
100%. I 100% agree. And she was probably the fourth pick on my list that I had in my head before I wrote things down. I think, yeah, ever since she's come back, she's just had pop after pop after pop. And even on Friday on SmackDown when she wrestled with Zelina, it was like, you know. And to be fair, she would be great in a feud with anybody. Like, she works with anybody. And to be honest, when in that tag match, I was kind of like, I'd kind of like to see Alexa and Chelsea have a feud here. Like, it doesn't have to be over a title. Just like Alexa just creeping Chelsea out would be hilarious. Like, I think that would work really well as well. But with that being said, those are our way too early predictions for Money in the Bank, folks. Let us know in the comments who your picks are or who you would like to see win it. Because obviously, just because you think someone's going to win it doesn't mean you don't have a personal favourite on the sidelines waiting to take it. And yeah, we'll have to leave it there for now. As always, if you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And as always, subscribe if you want to see more wrestling content. And we will see you on the next one, folks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.